This conference will now be recorded.
So in yesterday's session, we were discussing about what is EBS snapshot, what is the importance of EBS snapshot, how we can take the snapshot, and how we can migrate the data from one availability zone to another availability zone or one region to another region we discussed. And also we were discussing about one more concept, how to recover SSH access if you lost the PEM file. If you want to recover SSH access, you don't want to create a new server. I mean to say, you don't want to duplicate the server. I mean to say, you don't want to get an exact copy of your old server, whatever you lost. There is a different way. If required, as I told yesterday, can I create a AMI out of that server for which you lost the PEM file? AMI. While taking an AMI, do I have an option to choose whether I want to create a AMI out of only root volume or AMI out of root and additional volumes also? We have option to select root as well as additional. When I am creating a server using that AMI, guys, please be on mute. I heard some lot of background noise. Please be on mute. And one more important thing, I don't encourage people joining from the mobile. I see people are joining from mobiles also. They are roaming around the roads, or I'm not sure what they're doing. So I encourage you to join from laptops. If I keep observing the people are joining from mobiles, I will remove the people who are joining from the mobile. You cannot concentrate on the class if you are joining on the mobile. So don't join from the mobile. Okay. So if I keep observing people joining from the mobile, I'll suspend. I mean to say I will remove. Afjal is joined from mobile and a few others. Ravi also joined from mobile. Vinayak Pujar. So don't join guys from mobiles. Okay. Make sure you join from laptop. If I observe, I'll terminate from the class. Today's class. If you join tomorrow again, I will remove from the class from mobile. So don't join from mobiles. Okay. Make sure you are joining from the system. So let's continue. So as I told, I can create a AMI out of that server. And from that AMI, if I create a servers again, will I have the data, the additional also, and root data also, whatever is part of your root, as well as additional volumes also in that new server? If you follow that, yes. Otherwise, there is a one more option. Let's discuss about this option. Now this is my this is my server. This is my server for which I lost the PEM file. This is some additional value for that server. Now I lost this PEM file. I cannot access this one unless until the session manager is enabled, unless until you have other user with a different password or same user password. If you have, you can access, otherwise you cannot access. Now what I can do, now I will create a one more server, temporary server. I'll create a temporary server with a new key pair. I'll create a temporary server with a new key pair. This temporary server I'll create in a same availability zone where this server is running, for which I lost the PEM file. I'll create this temporary server with a new key pair in the same availability zone where this original server is running. So is it going to get its own root storage? And is that has its own public key now, that new public key. This temporary server I am creating new key. So is this storage will have that new public key? All are new. I will have a new public key. So I will download that PEM file to my local laptop. This is my local laptop. I downloaded that PEM file. But without making any changes in this server, in this storage, will I able to connect to this server using this new key, new private key, without making any changes in this storage, in this server? Will I able to directly access this server with that new key, whatever key I created for this server? No. I can access only this one. Can I access this temporary server, whatever I have created, with that new key? Using that new key, I can SSH to this one, but not to this one. Then what I do after this, right? I will stop this server. I will stop this server. For this server, I lost the PEM file, right? So I will stop this server. I will stop this server. Once I stop this server, can I detach the root value of this server from this machine? If I stop the server, can I detach the root value of this server from this machine? Yes. I will stop this server. I will detach the root value of that server. Once I detach, can I attach to this server as an additional value? As an additional value, can I attach this disk to this server as additional value? Not as a root value, not as a root value, because the server already has a root value. So can I attach this storage, the root value of this server, to this temporary server as additional value? Can I attach? Yes. Once I attach, can I mount this disk with some temporary directory in this server? Can I mount this disk with some temporary directory in this server? Can I mount with some temporary directory this disk in this server? Yes. Once I mount, will I able to access all these files in this storage, all the files of this disk from this laptop, from the directory, whatever I have mounted? Yes. Then can I able to copy the latest authorized keys, the latest public key, to this one normal CP? Because this is also part of same server. This disk is also part of same server. Can I copy the latest public key from this location to this location normal CP? Is it possible? Because this is also one directory, this is also another directory in the same server. Can I copy the latest authorized keys, latest public keys from this location to this location after attaching and after mounting? Yes. Once that is done, I will unmount. I will unmount this disk from this directory, the temporary directory. I will unmount. Then I will detach. I will detach from this server, this storage. Then can I attach back to this original server as a root value? Can I attach this storage again back to this original EC2 instance as a root value again? Yes, I'll do that. Once I do that, and I will start this EC2 instance. I will start this EC2 instance. Once I attach back to this original server as a root value, I'll start this EC2 instance. Then with this key, with this new key, will I able to SSH to this server also? With this new private file, will I able to SSH to this server also? So this way you can do this. But whatever this way, it requires a downtime. Do I need to stop this server? Do I need to stop this server to follow this process? Yes. If you don't need any downtime, then you can go only for that session manager. If you don't need a downtime, you don't want downtime, You not at all need a SSH keys if you are enabling the session manager. So if you have a SSM agent, that session manager agent, and if your server has EC2 instance, even though you lost the PEM file, do you need to worry about that? You can directly connect to that server using session manager. That is one service. If you are not having a session manager, can I follow this process, whatever I just explained, or the AMI process? You can follow these two processes. Now, if you want me to do this practically, let me do it. It won't take much time. Now let's consider I lost the PEM file for this server. Let's consider I lost the PEM file for this server. I lost the PEM file for this server. Now I don't have session manager. That session manager is integrated. This is one more service. It is not integrated with this EC2 instance, which means this SSM agent is not installed in that machine, and also that server is not attached with the IAM profile. So if you have done all those things, you can access this, you can SSH to this one using session manager. There is one service called session manager. There is one service called session manager. This session manager. So using this session manager, you can access without keys also, but that is not there. That is not there. That session manager, no EC2 instances are integrated with session manager. You can see nothing is there here. So now I will follow the other process. What I will do? First, I will create a temporary server in the same availability zone where this original server is running. Why I am saying I have to create in same availability zone? If the temporary server is created in another availability zone, will I able to attach the root volume of this server with the temporary server which I am going to create? No. So that's why I am saying create in a same location, the temporary server. Let me create a temporary server. I am creating some temp server like any AMI. I am using Red Hat AMI. This instance type, it is going to get its own root storage. I am just saying something like recover, some temporary server. That's it. Port is opened here, and I lost this key. I don't have this key. I don't have this key. I lost the key of this one. So what I will do? Can I create this server with new key pair by selecting this option? Create new key pair. So something like this. Something like this. I am downloading that key pair. I will launch the server. I launch this server, this recovery server. But using this new key pair, without making any changes, will I able to SSH to this Jenkins server? No, right? Without making any changes, I can't SSH to this server. Let me show that. So this is my new key pair. Now I am taking this IP address. So let me, I have that in that. First I will change the permissions, 400 permissions for that DevOps new. So now I am trying to SSH like this, DevOps new key EC2 user @ this Jenkins server IP. Will it, am I able to connect to this one, this server with this new key pair? Because I have not done any changes there. It's not possible. So what I do, this is the recovery server. Can I connect to this server using that new key? Because that server is created using that key only. Will I able to connect to that? EC2 user at the rate that server. Now I can connect. Now as of now, this has only one root storage, block storage. Now is that key, that new public key, is it part of this user authorized keys? The new key, the public key, the respective public key of this private key is part of this location. Now somehow if I have this key in this Jenkins server directory, will I able to connect with that new key? Somehow if I am able to manage to keep that latest public key in this location, then I can connect using that new key. But will I able to SCP from this server to this server? Will I able to SCP? When you are doing SCP also, is it going to ask you the password or PEM file for SCP also if you are trying to SCP? Yes. So I cannot use SCP. So for that reason, now shall I stop this server now? This server I'll stop, because while this server is running, will I able to detach this root storage from that server? If it is running, will I able to detach the root storage of this server? No. That is where OS is booted. So I'll stop this server. This server I'll stop. I'll stop this server. That EC2 instance is getting stopped. Once it is stopped, this is the root storage. This one, 10 GB, the device name dev SDA1. So once this server is stopped, I can directly click on this volume ID. Will it land me to this location? If I click on this one also, it will land me to this location. So you will not get confused, because if you go here, suppose you are not using tags, will you able to understand what is root volume of that server? If you are, unless until you have some good knowledge, you cannot understand what is the root volume of that server if you go here. So if you have some knowledge, you can understand that dev/sda1 Jenkins server. So this volume is attached with this Jenkins server and the device name is SDA1. So which means, is this the root volume of that server? This one. If you have a good understanding, you can understand here. So this volume is attached with this server and this is the device name. So if you have some good understanding, you can understand this is the root value. But if you are not having a good understanding, can I navigate from my EC2 itself? I'll go to this server. This Jenkins server is stopped. Let me remove this filter. Remove that filter. This Jenkins server is stopped. Let me go to this server storage. Here, if I click on that one, this one, again, it will directly land me to that page, and it is only showing that value. It is filtered with this value. Now, can I select this value, detach from this server? Currently, it is attached to this one. Currently, it is attached to this server. I will detach the value. Now, it is still not completely stopped. Let's wait for some time. Still, it is not completely stopped. The server is still in the stopping state, not completely stopped, I guess. It is still, let me remove that filter. Now it is stopped. Now let me do that. Let me go to this, select this root volume of that server, detach. So now it is detached. Let me click on this detach value. Now if you see, server is completely stopped. Is it detached now? Now can I see this as again available? Is it detached from that server now? Yes. Now again, I'll select the same value. Can I attach to the temporary server which we created now? Select this value, attach value, attach value. Here, can I select the temporary server that recoveries? Okay, that recovery server, I have missed to select availability zone. I missed to select availability zone. That is the problem. Okay, so let me do that. It won't take much time. This recovery server, in which availability zone it is created? 1A. But my original server is in 1B. I missed to select this one while creating a server. Let me terminate this one. I'll create a new one. I'll create a new instance in that 1B availability zone. So I'm creating recovery server. Here, make sure you are selecting in which availability zone I have to select, create this recovery server. 1B. Now I am creating that. Now I have this key, the new key, because just now I created and downloaded, right? So I am going to use this key, that new key. I already have this new key. So I am going to create that server. This is my recovery server. Let's wait. This recovery server. This was in different availability zone. That's why I'm not able to attach. So I terminated this one. So it is still working. Guys, one more important point which I was missed to explain. What is this status checks? What is this 2x2 checks? When I was explaining about EC2, it was in my mind, but somehow I missed. What is this status check 2x2 checks? Sometimes in the interview also they'll ask. There are two things here. Status checks. Two things. One is here system check, instance check. System check and instance check. What is the meaning of system check and instance check? Both look similar. System is also looks similar terminology. Instance is also looks similar. What is system? What is instance here? Then it comes to status checks. System check is basically the underlying physical machine status. So whether the underlying physical machine, the underlying hardware, is it reachable from server? Is it reachable from network? Do we have any problem with underlying system, that physical system? It is going to check. What is the instance check? Instance check is your server, that EC2 instance, whether your instance is having any issues or not. Guys, in case of any instance failures, if I start the server and I start the server, will it recover? Sometimes you see here 1/2 as, sometimes you always, sometimes you see 1/2. Here sometimes you see 1/2. So if there is a problem with your instance, if I stop that instance and if I start that instance, will that problem will be fixed? Most of the cases, yes. You can recover yourself that instance failures. But in case of any system failures, hardware failures, you need to terminate that instance. You need to terminate that instance and create another instance, or you need to work with AWS team, AWS support team. So sometimes you see 1/2 failed, instances failed. That could be because you are overutilized your CPU and memory. Let's say you are using just 1 GB and 1 core CPU. You installed softwares like Nexus, JFrog, or SonarQube. Lot of softwares you are installed in that machine, but it has very less CPU and memory. Will it have enough CPU and memory for booting the operating system, running all the process in that machine? If you have done that in single server, you install lot of software, that software and that server capacity is very less, like 1 GB 1 core. Do you have a problem over there? So that time you sometimes you see as a instance failure. Even though you stop the server and start the server again it will show as 1/2. Even though you stop and start it again, it will show sometimes the same 1/2 error. That could be because you have very less capacity and you are running lot of things in that machine. So again, if you are stopping and starting also, still it is showing 1/2. What is the solution? Can you change the capacity of that server? If you stop that server, is there an option to change the instance type from t2.micro to t2.xlarge, double xlarge like that? Yes. So sometimes in the interview also they will ask, what is the status checks? Is everyone clear? What is system check and what is instance check? Okay. Now let's continue with our topic. Now I created a recovery server in same availability zone, in 1B availability zone where my Jenkins server is there. So let me connect to this new server with that new key. This is my new server. I am able to connect. I am able to connect here. And in this user home directory, I have a SSH and authorized keys. This server has only one block storage as of now. Now I detached the root volume of this server now. I detached the root volume of this server now. Let me go to volumes. This volume I detached, already detached. It is available. Now can I attach this to that server? That recovery server, whatever I created just now. Attach volume. This recovery server. This recovery server. So don't modify anything here because I want to attach this server to this server as which value? Additional value. But that value was used as which which value in the previous server? That value was used as which value in the previous server? Root. But here as additional because this server already has a root. So I am attaching without changing anything. Now if you see here, can I see that storage also now? The moment I attach, but that disk is partitioned. The disk is partitioned into two things. Now can I mount this one with some temporary directory? Whatever I have highlighted, can I mount this one with some temporary directory in this server so that I can access the files in this storage? But is it recommended to do like this now? If I do something like this, what will happen on this device? On this device, if I do like this, what happens? It will erase everything. So don't do this because it already has a files. You see this one, xvdf2. One second. So it already has what type of file system has been used? That is XFS file system with some data. Now I'll just create some temporary directory, something like this, slash mkdir slash temp slash recover key, something. I am creating one temporary directory in this server. As of now, do I have anything in that temporary directory in this server? No, nothing is there. I just created. Now can I mount this directory with this device so that I can access all the files of this device in this folder now after mounting? Because this already has some files, so I'm going to mount this directory with this one. So what is the command which I can use? Sudo mount /dev /xvdf2 xvdf2. But I'll get some error. One second, this is just reverse. This is just reverse. So I'll get some error. Still, I'll get some error because of file formats basically. So wrong FS type, because this device is using FS, XFS type, and it is not supporting. So I need to use one option here. I need to use one option here. -o no UUID. Omit that UUID. I am using no -o no UUID, or -o something is there. No UUID. Yeah, this option, because of wrong FS type. Now it will ignore that error and it will mount. So I use this option now. Now if I see ls on that temporary directory, what is this folders and files? Under this temp recovery key, what is this folders and files? What is this? Is it a root of the other server? Now within that, do I have some folder called home? Within that, do I have a folder called EC2 user, the other server EC2 user, and within that, do I have a .ssh and authorized keys? So this is old server. So I lost this key, the respective public private key I lost. Now somehow the current server SSH authorized keys, if I copy this one to this location, then will I able to access with this new key pair that server? Yes. What you can do? You can use cat also. You can use cat also, or you can use VI or CP. Can I do something like this, guys? Cat from this location to cat on this location. So is it going to append now this latest keys to this location now? Since it's a TMP, right? Since it's a temporary, so I'm not using sudo. Okay. Now in that here, can I see this key also now? That new temp file public key also copied to this. Now my job is done with this storage. Now can I unmount this disk? Can I unmount this from this server, temporary server? So what command I can use? Sudo umount this folder. Now I have unmounted. Now I have unmounted. Now can I detach that from that server, that temporary server? Now that value, this is the value. Now I attach to this server, recovery server, as an additional value. I have unmounted. I no need to stop because this is an additional value. I just unmounted. Can I detach without stopping that recovery server also, because this is additional value? Here it is as an additional value, it is attached. Now here I will detach that value. After unmounting, I detached from this server, which means I removed from this server, but I have not attached back to the original server. I have not attached back to the original server. This value I just detached. But this, if I go to this EC2 instance, this EC2 instance doesn't have a root value. This EC2 instance as of now doesn't have a root value. Is it possible for us to start the server without root value? Now if I start this, is it going to start? If I go to actions, if I start, is it going to start? What it is saying? What it is saying? This instance doesn't have a root value attached. So now can I attach back that value, this value back to that original server as a root, So I'm selecting this, go to actions, attach value to the original server, this Jenkins server. But this time, is this correct? Is this correct? Because this time I need to attach back as a root value. So what is the root value? SDA 1, dev/SDA 1, something like this. Dev/SDA 1. Now I am attaching back to that server as a root value. Now, is that server has a root value? Is this server has a root value now? That Jenkins server? Do you see here when it comes to storage? Do I see that root value here? Now, is it possible for me to start this server? Can I start this server now? Because that server has a root value. Is it getting started now? Now, once it is started, will I able to access this server with this key, that new private key, whatever I have? With that new private key, whatever I have, I can access. Let me show that. Let me come out of this temporary server. Sometimes in the interview also they are asking this question. Will you guys able to explain theoretically? Because in the interview they will not ask you to do because you don't have system. Theoretically you need to explain whatever we have done. If you want to explain, if you have practiced this one, it will be easy. Once this class is done, you can just imagine that you lost the key and you want to recover. If you practice whatever we are doing here, you can easily explain in the interview also. Now this server is getting created. Let's wait. Still it is not completely initialized. Let's wait. Let's wait some time. Now let me select this server. Now let me see. This is the public IP of that server. Now SSH using that new key. Am I able to connect to that server using that new key now? Do you see, is it allowed? Yes. But when I click on connect, is it still showing the old key here? Because it is not changed. You don't have this one. If you it is still showing old key in the GUI, but you don't have this one. Instead of this one, can I use this one? The new key, whatever I used, this key. Instead of this key, I can use this key to SSH to that one. That is how we have done. So are we able to SSH back to that original server even though we lost the PEM file? So do I have everything up and running, whatever I have earlier? Like in this server, I have Jenkins. I have not touched anything, right? Do I have everything up and running in this original server? So this way we can recover your server if you lost the PEM file. Abhishek is asking, sir, in volume selection, if I select one volume, it is showing one snapshot option. Yeah, what is that snapshot option basically? Yesterday also we have taken a snapshot, right? You can take the snapshot, backup of that value, backup of that value. Yesterday also we have done that, backup we have created from that value. Is everyone clear, guys? How to recover SSH key if you lost the PEM file, how to recover SSH access basically. Now let's continue with one more storage service, EFS. EFS. So this EBS is Elastic Block Store. Elastic Block Store. EFS, Elastic File System. Elastic File System. So this is a file store. As we already discussed, suppose I have a requirement. I want to use same storage for multiple servers. Same storage for multiple servers, which means this server and this server also I want to have a same storage, shared volumes or shared storages. Is it possible with EBS? Is it possible with EBS? Is block storages can be shared with multiple servers? No. Suppose you have a requirement. Suppose you have a requirement, you want to use a shared storages, shared file systems or shared storages. I should be able to read and write the data from multiple systems. So from this system also I should be able to read and write the data. Whatever data I'm writing here from the other system, I should be able to access. So in that case, we will use shared storages, shared volumes. If you have that requirement, can I go with EFS in AWS so that I can access the data from multiple systems with EFS? So what is EFS? First of all, full form of EFS is Elastic File System. So it's a basically EFS is basically managed NFS. It's a native implementation of NFS, or it's a managed NFS. So what is NFS then? Anyone has any idea what is NFS? Network file share. Network file share, or we call it as a network file system. So it's basically EFS is nothing but a native NFS, which means instead of you are creating a NFS server and instead of you are managing NFS server, so who will manage in the background? If I go for EFS, it's a managed service, which means who is going to manage NFS for you in the background? It's a managed NFS, which means in the background AWS will take care. Do I need to manually manage the NFS server and its storage if I go for EFS? No. Suppose you are not using cloud, you are not using cloud, you are having your own data center. In that case, do you need to manage yourself that NFS servers and the storage of those NFS servers? NAS is different, NFS is different, Abhishek. Abhishek is asking, is NAS and NFS both are same? NAS is different, NFS is different. NAS is network attached storage. You can attach any storage like a block storage also over the network. That is all storage related stuff. Now, this NFS is basically a network file share, file system. Suppose you are not at all using cloud, you need a same requirement. You need to access multiple servers. From multiple servers, you need to access that storage. You want to share that data with multiple servers. In that case, if you are using your own data center, are you responsible? I mean to say the storage admins. You are means you are you means it is not like you exactly you as a DevOps engineer. Is it our responsibility like as a storage admin? Is it a storage admin responsibility to configure NFS and manage NFS for the that servers? Yes. But when I go for a cloud, as a do we need to manage NFS and storage for that NFS if I go for EFS service? No, that will be taken care by AWS. Now, there is one service called EFS. Let's say now I have servers. From this server also I should be able to access the data. From this server also I should be able to access the data, irrespective in which availability zone. So this EFS is a regional level service, which means suppose if I created a EFS in Mumbai region, any server in any availability zone in that Mumbai region will I able to mount and access that EFS. EFS is a regional level service. EFS is a regional level service. Whether this server is in 1A, this server is in 1B, if I have a EFS in this availability zone in this region, in this region I have a EFS, will I able to read and write the data from this server and this server also, whether it is in 1A, 1B, it's a regional level service. And it's a shared storage, which means parallelly, can I read and write the data from this server as well as this server also? Yes. So are we going to create always EFS with all the servers, and are you going to attach whatever servers you are creating for your applications, your infrastructure? Are you going to create EFS for each and every server, and are you going to attach for all the servers EFS? No, guys. Based on the requirement. Suppose you have a requirement. Suppose you have a use case. You need a shared storage. You should be able to read and write the data from multiple servers simultaneously. Then if you have that type of requirement, will you able to provision EFS? Will you able to create EFS and use that EFS with your servers if you have that requirement? Yes. Unless until you have a requirement, you are not going to do anything. So that requirement is nothing but a real time. You are calling as a real time, what do we do? There is nothing called real time. There is a requirement. There is a use case. It can be requirement in your infrastructure. It can be requirement in your application. It can be requirement in your automation, CI/CD. Everything is a requirement. As per that requirement, do we need to create infrastructure? If it is a requirement in the infrastructure, do you need to write a pipeline? If it is a requirement in the pipeline, you need to automate something. So everything is a requirement. Based on the requirement only, you are going to work. That requirement is nothing but a real time. That use case is nothing but a real time. Now you have a requirement to have this shared storage. Then can I go and use that EFS and start attaching those EFS to my servers and access simultaneously? Yes, no, am I audible? What, Balaji sir, I am feeling sleepy. You are discussing too much theory. I am not able to concentrate on your class. Too much technical, too much theory, it is boring. Are you guys feeling like that? Are you guys feeling interested to learn all these things? It is very interesting subject actually. If it is very interesting subject actually, if you start focusing on it. Now let's try to do this. In AWS, the way we have a EC2, the way we have a EBS, I have a EFS. Can I call all these EC2, EBS, EFS as AWS services or AWS resources or AWS workloads, AWS workloads or AWS resources or AWS services? All these are same. I can call these as AWS resources or workloads or AWS services, same. Now here EFS, managed file storage for EC2, managed file storage for EC2. So let me click on this EFS. I think I have some EFS. If I have already, let me delete. So I'm deleting the CFS. I'll show from the scratch. So EFS, Amazon Elastic File System, Scalable Elastic Cloud Native NFS. So what is the meaning of scalable elastic? Scalable, which means will it able to scale the capacity of that file storage based on the number of files, number of data you are maintaining? Scalable, it can scale. And again, it's elastic. What is the meaning of elastic? Do I need to manually increase the size of this EFS? No. Based on the data we are uploading, will it able to shrink or grow the capacity of that storage of that file system? It will automatically grow or shrink the capacity of that storage. This is storage. Automatically it will increase the storage capacity and decrease the storage capacity based on the files which you are uploading. So this is storage service. So is it going to increase the capacity of that storage and decrease the capacity of that storage automatically based on the files which you are uploading to this storage? Yes. Now it's a native NFS, which means who is going to manage that file system for us in the background? AWS. Now, since it's a network file system, is it possible for me to mount on-prem servers also? Suppose I have some servers in my own data center. Is it possible for me to mount my on-prem servers also with this EFS storage by establishing a connectivity between cloud and your data center? First of all, you need to connect the cloud and data center. There is a separate services for that. So we are not covering all those services. Here, AWS direct connection is there. AWS transit gateways are there to connect your data center with cloud. There are some other services, AWS direct connection, AWS transit gateways. There are different services available. Using those services, is it possible for me to connect my own data center with AWS cloud? And will I able to mount this EFS with my own data center servers also? Servers is in your data center, storage in cloud, or vice versa also. Servers in cloud, storage in your data center. If you do that on-prem and cloud connection, if you integrate, that is also possible. That concept when I discussed, which falls under which type of cloud? Types of cloud we discussed, right? This concept will falls under which cloud? Hybrid cloud. So do you have more flexibility and more compliance and security also if I go with hybrid cloud? Yes. So that is also possible because it's a network storage, right? So over network you can mount. But your do we have some kind of a latency because your servers are in some data center in your own company, own location, and storage is in some location, maybe in AWS data center. Do we have some latency in reading and writing the data if I go for this network file systems? Yes. Now let me create a file system. Now let me create a file system, Elastic file system. I don't have anything. As I already told, how they are going to charge, how much they are going to charge per GB. Suppose I am maintaining 1 GB data in EFS, how much they are going to charge? 0.33. So here also we have different types again, different types of EFS file systems. If you see standard storage, infrequent storage, one zone storage, right? One zone. If I use one zone, this file system will be created in how many availability zones, how many copies of data will be maintained if I use this one zone storage, how many copies of data will be maintained if I use this one zone storage. in the background AWS will maintain how many copies of the data. If I use this one zone storage, only one copy. So for some reason that the zone is not working, there is some maintenance or maintenance issue or some disaster happened, will I able to access the data if it is just one zone? No. So when I go for a standard storage, it is going to have a 3 copies of data, more than 2-3 copies, which means in the background you will have a 2-3 EFS servers, that NFS servers in the background. So even though one of the NFS server and its storage is down, can I still reach or access my data? Multiple copies. That's why if you see standard storage, are they charging more compared to one zone storage? And this infrequent access, what is the meaning of infrequent access? The name itself, it is saying infrequent. You are not frequently accessing the data. That is infrequent access. So you are not worried about the network performance. You are not worried about the throughput, the speed in the reading and writing the data. You are not worried because you are not frequently accessing that data. So if you maintain an infrequent access, if you are creating an infrequent access EFS, are you going to get very less charges, but at the same time there is less throughput? So based on this, they are going to charge, right? Now let me create a file system. Now here I can give something like this, EFS demo. While creating EFS also, do I need to select under which network this file systems has to be created? The EFS servers in the background NFS has to be created. Now I have servers in this default VPC. So I want to mount the servers with this EFS. Do I need to make sure this EFS is also in same VPC where my servers also there to which I want to mount? Yes. Otherwise, you need to use one more concept called VPC peering. Your VPC is in different network and your servers are in different network. You need to use one more concept called VPC peering so that it can connect. But as of now, I have only one VPC. All my servers also in same VPC. I am creating EFS also in same VPC. Now this one, availability and durability. Regional option, one zone option. So which one is recommended? As I already told, if I select one zone, in which availability zone you want to create this file system? If it is regional, will it store data redundantly across multiple availability zones? Will it have multiple copies of data? If I select this regional, yes. So I'm selecting this regional. Now I can customize, a lot of options are there. I can customize, or later also I can customize. So with this default options, let me create file system. Now file system is created. File system is created. Now if I click on this one, if I click on view details, right, I can see a lot of options also. Access points, network, all those things. Now if you see in the background, is it provisioning some kind of a targets, mount targets? Basically, we can mount our servers with these targets. So in the background, is it provisioning some mount target? Mount target is nothing but our servers is going to be mounted with the help of these targets. These are basically your EFS in the background. Now, since I have used regional, is it creating a mount targets in this availability zone, as well as this availability zone? Since I have selected regional option, yes. Now this is going to use some security group. These mount targets are going to use some security groups. So since it's a network file system, what is the NFS port, guys, on which we can mount NFS? What is the network file system port, what is NFS port, on which we can mount these mount targets? Anyone has any idea what is NFS port? Network file system port, on which NFS will be listening. So NFS will be listening on 2049. That is the NFS port 2049. It will be listening on NFS port 2049. Now, in this security group, whatever security group is used in this mount targets, in this EFS mount targets, network targets, if the 2049 is not opened, will I able to mount this EFS, basically NFS, from my servers if it is not opened, the 2049? Let me show that first. Let me show that. But let's see if it is already opened. This is the security group which is used in this network targets. Let me duplicate this tab. Let me go to that security group. So this is used here. Let me go to the security groups. EC2 section. Let me go to security groups. Security groups. So this is the security group used in that mount targets. Let me search with that security group ID. This one. Now here in the inbound rules, I think it is already opened 2049, but by default it won't open. For now, let me do like this. I will delete that 2049. Now the 2049 port is not opened in the security group that is used in your EFS mount targets. Now EFS is ready. EFS is ready. I have a EFS. Now how can I mount this EFS with my servers? You can go to this file systems. You can click on this file system. Here you see some option, attach option. Now here I need to mount using this protocol, NFS protocol. But this one, whatever server you want to mount with this file system, you need to install some client software in your laptop. Sorry, your server. Suppose I want to mount that EFS with this server. I want to mount that EFS with this server or with this server or this server. We need to have a client software. That client software can be EFS client, or that client software can be NFS client. So why that client software is required? Why that client software is required? Because it's a network, kind of a client server architecture. So that client will try to communicate with that NFS, that EFS in the background. So we need to have a client software. Without installing that client software, if I try to execute these commands for mounting, this is just a sample. If I try to execute these commands for mounting, will it able to mount with that NFS, basically EFS? No. So I need to install client, either EFS client or NFS client. So this is mount option. But if you see, what is this? What is this? This one, the highlighted one, which is in the red one. What is this? That is kind of a host name of your EFS servers. Kind of a host name of your EFS servers. So when I execute this command, is this directory? This is just a sample. This is just a sample. Does this directory in your server, is it going to mounted with this file system? If I execute this command after installing client, So this is just a sample. For now, let me show you. I'll try to install that client. Now, as I already told, let's say this server is in which region? Mumbai region. in same VPC. In which availability zone this server is there? This top server 1A. And this server, this Jenkins server or other server like recovery server, whatever it is. So this server is in which availability zone? 1B. Now, is it possible for me to mount this EFS with this server as well as this server or other servers also simultaneously? Yes. So let me do that. So let me connect to this server. Let me connect to this server. I'm SSHing to that server. I'm SSHing to this server. This is a Ubuntu server. Basically, username is Ubuntu, line that operating system is Ubuntu. So here only one block storage still. This is only one block storage. Here one block storage is attached for this server. Now, if required, let me create some directory just for understanding purpose. Can I mount any existing directory also with that NFS? Is it always mandatory to create this directory like this? No. You can mount any other existing directory also to that storage, NFS storage, EFS storage. Just for understanding purpose, I am creating a folder like this. Now, is this folder mounted with any storage? Is it mounted with separate disk? No. This is part of root only. Now, if required, can I mount this directory with the NFS, that shared file system? Yes. But here, do I need to install that client software? I am going to install NFS client software. Since it's a Ubuntu server, what is the package manager, guys? What is the package manager for Ubuntu Debian? Ubuntu Debian apt. So I am saying apt install NFS common. This is the package name of NFS client software. NFS client software. This is the package name for Ubuntu. I am installing this one in this server. I am installing this one in this server. The client software is there. Once this client software is there, can I use this command? Can I use this command to mount with the directory? Here they have given EFS as a sample, but is this correct folder name as per my requirement, as per the current server? No. So that is EFS demo. So I'm executing like this. But if you see, is it going to successfully mount? Is it successfully mount? Because it is trying to reach this one. On which port? It is trying to reach that one on which port? 2049. So after some time, do I see some kind of a error? After some time, we can see timeout, connection timeout. So this is going to use 2049. How can I see whether I can able to reach this on 2049 or not from this server? How can I see whether I can reach from this server? This is my source. This is the destination. So from this source, can I reach this destination on so and so port? How can I verify? NS lookup is not required. You can use telnet. Telnet. If you want to get the IP of this one, you can use NS lookup. But without IP also, I can directly use this name also with the telnet. With telnet, after some time, you can see you will get some error, timeout error. Because it is using this security group. It is using this EFS has mount targets. This EFS has mount targets, and these mount targets are using this security group. So in this security group, the 2049 is not opened, it is blocked. So that's why is my server, that EC2 instance, is it able to reach these EFS targets? The firewall is getting blocked. Guys, will I able to see these servers in my own AWS account, these mount targets, these EFS targets in my own EC2? No, this will be completely managed by AWS. Now if you see, it is not going to work. If you want to double check, can I use curl or telnet like this, with curl with telnet, and this, what is the port? 2049. Now is it allowing me to connect? This one, this is one of the mount target, 172, 31, 40, 180. Do you see, is it resolving to one of the mount target? Automatically it is resolving to this IP. This is one of the mount target, it is trying to reach on 2049. Because of port, it is not allowed. Now can I go to security group, and can I open 2049 in this security group? Or if required, can I create a new security group in my security group section? Can I use that security group instead of this one? By clicking on this manage, I can edit the security group also. Instead of this security group, I can use different security group where 2049 is opened. Otherwise, in the same security group, in that same security group, I can open. In the same security group, I can open 2049 port. So let me go to the security group. Let me open inbound rules. Now, if you don't know, here you can see NFS. There is one option called NFS. So if you don't know the port, what is the port of NFS? 2049. Now here I will open. I'll not open for everyone. I'll not open for everyone. Can I open only for that network in which my servers are there? The network range, my network range, that servers, in which network that has, right? So this is the network range of that server, that servers. Sir, how do you know this is the network range of that servers? How do you know this is the network range of that servers? If I go to EC2, if I go to EC2, these servers, all these servers, if you see, go to this server, go to the networking. If you see, is this server is in this VPC, and this one also in same VPC, this one also in same VPC, and also at the same time, is my EFS also created in same VPC? Because it is using private IPs. It is using private IPs. Now, if I go to this VPC, will I able to understand that range, that network range of that VPC? I go to that VPC by clicking on here. I go to that VPC. So here, this is the range, which means any request comes to that 2049 on any IP from this range. Will it allow? If I say something like this, any request goes to that mount targets from this range, the source IPs, the source server's IPs are in this range. Any server from this range goes to 2049, will it allow to mount? Yes. So I am opening only for like that specific range, like that. You can open for 0.0.0/0 also, but is it recommended to do like this as per the best practices? Open only for whatever it is required. Open only for whatever it is required. Now I open that firewall. Now, is it able to reach now? Do you see? I'm just doing a curl, that telnet. So after opening the port, do you see is it able to talk to this one on 2049 after opening the firewall? Yes. Now if I execute this mount command now, is it able to successfully mount this EFS directory, with this EFS file system? If I execute this command now successfully, it will work. Now Krishna Prasad is saying we can use netstat also. Guys, if you understand netstat, what is the whole purpose of netstat? Don't get confused. Netstat will do what if I execute like this? It is just going to list the ports which is used in this server, what ports are being listening or what ports are being used in this server. Am I able to use that netstat to see whether I can reach this server on so and so port? No. That we can use telnet. Netstat is for different purpose, telnet is for different purpose. Okay, don't get confused. Okay, now if you see, is this mounted with this storage now, this file system, this EFS demo, is it mounted with this one? Yes, but again it's kind of a temporary. If you reboot again, does this directory gets mounted with this file system EFS automatically? Again, what needs to be done for that one, where you need to make all those changes? Even after rebooting also you need to have FS tab. Okay, that you can do in the FS tab. Now similarly, this server, another server, let's say this is different server, this is my Jenkins server, now from this server also I want to mount the same storage. Is it possible? By installing that client software. First I will install that client software, but this is a Red Hat server. So what is the package manager for Red Hat and CentOS? I am installing NFS utils. So the package name is different. NFS common for Ubuntu, but NFS utils for Red Hat. So I am installing NFS utils. This is client software. Now from this server also, can I mount same storage with any directory? Suppose I have some directory like this. I have some directory like this Balaji directory. If required, I don't have anything. If required, can I mount this directory with that EFS from this server also? From this server. Now I can execute like this. That this is my folder name. I'm executing like this in this server. Now if you see this server, this directory is also pointing to the same storage. This server, this Balaji directory is also mounted to the same storage, and the other server, this EFS demo directory of this server also point to the same storage. As of now, we don't have anything in this storage. Do I have anything in this storage? Here also I don't see. Here also I don't see. Do I have anything in this directory in this server? In this directory in this server? No. Now let me create. I'm creating some file like this in this directory. Whether you are creating a files folders manually or some programs or some softwares are generating a files or folders, that doesn't matter. I'm just creating some file. So cannot open a file or file for writing because I use sudo. So that's why it is not working. Either I need to use sudo or can I change the ownership of that Balaji directory to whatever user or group in this server? I can change to whatever user, like this. If you want to use sudo, you can use sudo. I change the ownership. Now will I able to modify? Will I able to do anything as that user? Now the moment I save this file in this server, I am saving this file. Will it reflect in the other server in this directory, because this directory also point to the same storage? Now can I see that file, whatever file is created in the other server? Now do you see that one? And any modifications happened here, will it reflect in the other server? Because both are pointing to the same storage, network storage. So I'm making some changes here. I'm saving the changes here. Now can I see those changes reflected in this location? Because is both are pointing to the same storage. So using EFS, can I able to mount same storage with multiple servers, that is shared file system? Simultaneously, can I access irrespective of which location, that which region? So this is network share. This EFS is nothing but a NFS in the background. Network file share. NFS, network file share. Sir, can we access this NFS share from our laptop also? Let me, to make it simple. Now let me go to my laptop, my terminal. This is my own laptop. From my laptop, am I able to reach that one? Am I able to reach this one, that EFS, this on port 2049? Let's see. What do you think? Will I able to reach? Will I able to reach this one from my laptop? Do you think will I able to reach that 2049? No, could not resolve to this host, because this host is like an internal DNS. It will be resolved in the same network. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. You see, could not resolve host. It is not because of firewall. It is not because of firewall. This is like an internal domain that will result in the same network. It is not able to resolve this IP from the router of my laptop. But whatever router is attached to that network, that VPC, will it able to resolve the IP of this host in that one? Yes, but not from here. Now, can I use IP of this? Can I use IP of this? Like we have IPs also here, right? For that EFS. If I use IPs, if you see what are those IPs, it is private IPs. Even though I open for port, even though I open 2049 port for everywhere, will I able to reach that mount targets using private IPs? Because I am in different network. That file system is in different network. That file system is in different network. I am in different network. So can I use this IPs and try to mount? We can mount using IPs also, but can I use that one? Because it's a private IP. From my laptop, will I able to talk to that IP? Will I able to reach that IP? It's a private IP, even though I open port. No, I cannot reach, because it is in a different network. I am in a different network. But as I told, let's consider this is your on-prem server. Let's consider this is your on-prem server. Let's say you use some other network services like direct connections or transit gateways. You have established the connection between your own data center with AWS VPCs using all those services. Then will you able to reach those using private IPs also from your own data center? That is how it works. Okay. Is everyone clear? What is EFS? How it works? Guys, once your practice is done, I want you, I recommend you to delete all these things because they will keep on charging. So once your practice is done, you can delete all these things, whatever you have created in any region. But don't delete once you get into a project. Huh? So I see a lot of servers, I see a lot of file systems. I don't want to see these many resources. It looks ugly. Don't feel like that and don't delete in our actual AWS server, accounts. Should we delete EBS also? If you delete the server, is it going to delete the associated root volume by default? If you delete EC2, it is going to remove associated EBS also. Root volume. It is going to delete root volume. But guys, EBS root volume will be deleted. But additional EBS volumes, will it be automatically deleted if I deleted the servers? No. In that case, do I need to manually go and delete those additional EBS volumes, whatever I have created? Yes. Okay. So there are options also. But if you are aware about those options, you can do that. Otherwise, you can go and manually delete. Delete and termination. There is an option. So that is how it works. Now, how to remove elastic IP? Someone is asking, sir, I have attached one elastic IP to this server. Let's say I have attached one elastic IP. Did I attach one elastic IP to this server, Jenkins server? When I explained, I think some server I have, yeah, this one, elastic IP. Now I don't want to use this elastic IP anymore. Can I go to this elastic IP? Can I go to this elastic IP and select this option, deassociate elastic IP address? I can click on this deassociate elastic IP, which means that elastic IP is detached from that server. Now that server will have a normal public IP. The normal public IP. Now this is not a elastic IP. Now if required, can I attach that elastic IP to new server, any other server? Since I have detached from that server, I can attach to any other server. If you don't need, can you delete? If you don't need with any server, go to actions, release IP. Venkat is asking, sir, is NFS specific to Linux? NFS is only works with Linux servers. That can be any Linux. That can be Red Hat, that can be CentOS, that can be Amazon Linux, that can be Ubuntu, whatever it is. But if I want to have a file storages for Windows servers, Windows laptops, right? So NFS, this EFS will not work. For that one, there is a separate service in AWS also. Amazon FSx. There is a one more service called Amazon FSx. So that Amazon FSx is a file storage for Windows systems. But this EFS or NFS, can I use with any Linux? That can be Ubuntu, CentOS, Red Hat, Amazon Linux, whatever it is. Yes. But if you need a same kind of a file storage for Windows Windows servers, then there is a service called Amazon FS6, Windows file server. Okay. As I already told, without mounting this file storage or block storage, will I able to read and write the data from that storage from my servers without mounting, whether it's a EFS or EBS? No, I need to mount. Now there is a one more service called S3. What is S3? What category it falls under? Simple storage service. It's a object store. So do I really need to mount this S3 with my servers to read and write the data? Not required. You can access from anywhere. So what is S3? What is S3 bucket? what concepts we have in S3, I'll continue tomorrow, guys. I'll continue tomorrow on this S3. Try to be familiar with all these things, guys. Whether you are working on the infrastructure, whether you are not working on the infrastructure, that doesn't matter. Do we need servers? Do we need storage for your softwares, your applications, your databases? Whether you are working or not, you need all those things. So without infrastructure, first of all, without having an infrastructure, you cannot host any application, any software, whether it's an application, whether it's a software like Jenkins, Nexus, JFrog. Do we need a server? Do we need a storage? Do we need a network for all those things? Infrastructure? Yes. So be familiar with what is server, what is storage, what is networking, what is cloud. In cloud, how we can manage all these things. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. I'll continue tomorrow with S3. Sir, are you taking SA classes or other faculty? What is SA, Venkat? Can you come? Solution architect, huh? AWS solution architect you are talking about? No, because I am completely busy with only this DevOps training itself. I have to handle multiple batches for DevOps itself. So AWS solution architect, I am not handling. There is other trainer called Ganesh. He is handling solution architect. Only AWS course he is handling. I am busy with a lot of other trainings. I don't have sufficient time to take other courses. So I am only focusing on this one, the DevOps, Kubernetes, Docker, all those things. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.